Your project was one of the most compelling in terms of something very practical to pretty much everyone can recognize this problem. Because I remember being like, oh, no one has not had this problem before.
You see what you receive in terms of idea, how you communicate it into what is being created. And then you can just literally enhance it. I think we live in the world where there is so much information going on entering our brain and a lot of things that we just have to face, that it's important to understand what is important and what is not important.
Welcome to another episode of AI Product Leader. Every week, we shine a light on what it really takes to join the AI world. Real conversations with AI builders, from founders to product leaders, AI experts, technologists, and everything in between to understand where the world of AI is right now and what that path looks like, whether you are building AI products or a career in AI. I'm Polly Allen. I'm the founder of AI Career Boost, where I spend my time helping product leaders land the roles of their dreams in AI and thrive leading AI products and teams. And I spent my career on both the product management and software development sides of the fence. I'm an ex-Alexa AI principal product manager, where I successfully launched the very first generative AI answers on Alexa back in 2020. And I'm very excited to have our guest joining us today. Viktoria Otstavnaya is a principal product manager who specializes in modernizing complex systems and delivering high-impact product transformations at scale. At Consumer Cellular, she's led major initiatives that reduced product launch times from months to minutes, accelerated SIM activation from 7 days to 1, and helped drive large-scale consumer migrations and national retail growth. Known for combining operational rigor with strong cross-functional leadership, Viktoria has built and scaled products across telecom, fintech, healthcare, and utilities. And she's especially skilled at bringing clarity, structure, and momentum to fast-moving environments where execution really matters. Viktoria, thanks so much for joining us today. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Hi, Polly. Yeah, likewise. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'd love to kick off just having our listeners get to know a little bit more about your background. I think it's so interesting. You came from Belarus originally. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I was actually born in Germany. And then lived there for the whole 3 months. And then my parents moved back to Belarus. Yeah, so I spent all my childhood, youth, and student years over there. I graduated from the Belarusian State University of Informatics and Radio Electronics, worked at EPAM Systems, which is a global consulting and software development company. And I kind of started my career right into the software development world right away, and stayed there and planning to stay there.
What drew you to the software and technology space in the first place?
So initially, even before EPAM Systems, I was working as an Android developer. I also did some software testing, but my dream was always to be in the business analyst, product owner, and then product management role. And when I realized that this is where my passion is actually is, so that when I received a ticket as a developer, it's like, why are we doing that? We could do this. We could do that instead. And so then when I realized that I love to not only implement stuff and think of it, but also discuss it. And what I love about product management role specifically is that there is a combination. It's 50, 60% of your time you are actually thinking of something and living in the future of creating new products and discussing how they will work. And another 40 to 50%, you're actually thinking, okay, how all of those ideas work together. And it's wonderful because you, at least for me, I close my natural desire for talking and discussing and collaborating, but also natural desire just to be on my own thinking about the things. So yeah, that's where I feel super grateful as well, being able to do that role and work in it.
Amazing. Do you feel like that depth in technology, having been a developer, helps you as a product manager?
Absolutely. So I think that it is, at least for me, I like to understand the way how things work to the level of hey, that's our platform. That's how different services talk to one another. And that gives me understanding when I'm talking about, all possibilities and keeping the general ideas that we want to have, but also knowing the limitations decisions, and kind of quickly being able to tell what is possible, what is not possible for the short term, midterm, and long term. Because without that knowledge, it is very hard. It's like too much of, okay, let me talk to the team. Then you go and like, no, that's not possible. But what if they think like changes? And when you know all of that and you can assess it, because if you used to do that, then you would, oh yeah, then it's like it can be difficult. So and you can right away say it and think of it like by yourself first, and then when talking to anybody from your stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's also an element of like developer empathy you have. You're just like, ooh, can ask them to do this. Ooh, they're not gonna like it. How
Uh-huh.
do I break
Yeah,
this to them? That we have to go and rework this thing that I know they're very proud
that's true.
of. Absolutely. So with a technical background, you'd come into
Yeah,
product
like professional empathy.
yeah,
Exactly.
emotional empathy, I love it. So with a technical background, you'd come into product management, and so I'd love to know when you first when AI really first crossed your radar, because it was sooner than a lot of PMs today who are just becoming aware of AI and starting to incorporate it.
Yeah, I remember that. So it was in 2019, so way before the overall hype about AI happened, like years
Yeah,
before that. That was actually, I think it was, yeah, it was the beginning of the 2019. Myself and my boss at the time, the CTO of the company where we used to work together. So we were thinking about how to automate the whole like foreclosure processes in mortgage servicing. So which requires a ton of documentation, like reading and understanding who, like which processes are applied in each state,
yeah,
and people have to go through all of like different communications that is received, create a case. Why wouldn't we just like automatically do all of those things, knowing different jurisdictions in every state? I think our CTO found the company, and oh no, actually it was Disrupt conference that was happening in San Francisco.
okay,
And we scanned through the vendors that were over there, found some of the AI and machine learning vendors that can help us with that. And I think out of probably two or three at that time, like only one was the that could really automate all of those things. So we met with them and started working on how we can read like tons of pages of like different PDFs, scanned documents in PDF format, just literally see like what are the laws, what is the case for each
yeah,
mortgagee, like a person who is actually owning the mortgage, automatically create a case and see if they basically have to enter the foreclosure process and which documents we need to send to them. And that's how it started. We implemented that. And at that point of time, I thought, like, that is really cool. But I did not see anybody actually doing something like that before.
really,
And when the whole AI hype started, I did not even think that this will be something huge, because like knowing of what happened in 2019 and
yeah,
2020, we did something and I thought like, oh, it will be like another couple of companies will introduce something like that, but this is where it will stop.
yeah,
But that's not true.
yeah. I think I had something similar where if you were already grounded in the industry, a lot of stuff that was coming out, especially early Chat GPT, you were like, uh-huh, yeah, like so,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like Google. That's why I did not understand people like, oh yeah, I'm using ChatGPT. I'm like, yeah, okay, so that's like
We're not
not
gonna
that
we're gonna
special.
yeah, we're not
So,
gonna give you a certification or exactly, yeah, that it
uh-huh,
was, but yeah, even the fact too that at that time, reading a PDF was like, and, have
uh-huh.
automatic reading of
Yeah.
PDFs, and now
Yeah, like asking questions, and yeah, things like that.
exactly, or fill out a form based on the contents of a PDF, etcetera. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, fantastic. Now you've done more work with AI since then, right? I'd love to hear some about some of the other initiatives you've been working on.
Yeah, so at I won't be able to go into too many like details from
At your
my
current
workplace, but some of the things that we integrated with one of the Equifax products to help fraud during the web checkout on our consumer cellular side, and that was also great to work and understand like that. Hey, what are some components that vendors who are LLM based solutions, what they need for their assessment modules to work better. That's good. Like though, even if you do not own the actual custom model, you understand what the model needs to perform better. And it's even when you are reading through the documentation, what is mandatory, what is optional, and talking to them of like which rules they have, what they recommend, kind of gives you clues to what they're using overall for like maybe how they're prompting, and so that's important and interesting. So like even if and that's one of my advice. If like somebody, if your company or your personal project, you're not creating your custom model and you're just integrating, it's like to take an extra step and understand, okay, based on what the APIs expose, what other things that they're asking you to like, deploy a specific like, third party library. And you understand like what information they need, what they derive from that. Talking to all people who actually configure a platform for you is what their rules, and like and asking a question, okay, what your other clients use and what gives the best result. That will help to understand that what can be used and like how can you also think when you are creating your own AI-based product, what is the most important and how you can use it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. Seeing that. That sounds like that industry knowledge, like actually understanding the user context is still the important piece as product, right? To have it
mhm.
to be so technically focused. It's still the human gap.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, people who are configuring, like you can only like literally sometimes mandatory fields will be like two or three or even one. And so, but whenever you start configuring like to actually use it, this is where all of the gold comes in. Okay, so most likely you still use this. And this is your marker, like, factor, because nobody will disclose you what's behind the custom model. But by talking through that, you can understand what things they're using anyway, and what is a defining factor.
So interesting. And so you've also been using AI outside of work. Can you talk a little bit about what motivated you to do some of your own AI projects and things outside of work?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I whenever this whole hype is happening, and I think everybody goes through these phases of okay, so it's there. Then you start using it, and you use it as junior user, and then you think of okay, what else can be done? And you see on LinkedIn, it's like every single post I saw on LinkedIn for a long time was AI, AI, AI. And I was like, oh my gosh, like do people talk about anything except of that? So at least for me, and I talked with a lot of people around that. There is a lot of fear-based motivation that is happening, and like it might not be fear, it might be like, oh, I'm like slight discomfort, or like any other feeling, but I have not yet heard anybody telling positive emotion behind it. Yeah, like there is excitement whenever you start working on that, but a lot of the things is like, oh, it's something new, and it's natural for us, for people to start like from uncomfortable feelings. The most important that you go there, and so that's where for me it's like I need to do something because I don't like that I'm feeling behind the whole AI train, and I need to jump on it and or take another train. So like the first one already
Oh,
departed.
this is sounding
Um,
very exciting.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that's where I figured that like I want to get some knowledge. It's interesting, and I was looking through reading some articles, and it's like, oh, it's actually interesting what people are doing. Then moment I saw some of the I think LinkedIn ad about your course, so it's like, oh, it's actually interesting. when I just had a thought that I want to do something, and like started reading and like read more on this article, the ads started to show up. And for me, I think it was just overall motivation that came out of some like discomfort of like not having the knowledge of it and understanding. That what drove me to actually look for some courses to dive deeper. And I looked up like a ton of them. Some were just very short, some were also like rather deep. But what I liked about yours, that it was practical. And for me, like when I touch it with my, like, with my fingers, with my hands, and like I do something, not just like, consume theories, which is good, like, to have knowledge is important, because foundation is important. But it's also like, okay, what can I do? Is that, you hear all of those things that, like, I have never coded and I can do stuff. It's like, I doubt it. And so, but like
Prove it
knowing
to me.
how to create stuff, it was also like, let me see where is it,
Yeah.
like, is it really true? And it just motivated me, as gaining knowledge always motivated me, of either of the things that like really, really interest me, or things that I feel like I do not have enough knowledge, and it is important to have that knowledge in our life. So, and with AI it was a second, so it's I thought that, well, it's time. So even though it's a little bit scary and it's like discomforting, but I want to learn, and practical like application of it was important. So
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. So you joined our Blueprint cohort. I,
uh-huh.
I I know your project was one of the most like compelling in terms of something very practical to pretty much everyone can recognize this problem. Can you talk a little bit about your project? Because I remember being like, oh, no one has not had this problem before.
Yeah, sure. So at that time, I thought of, to be honest with you, I could not find an idea very quickly.
Yeah.
And this idea, that was a project that I came up with afterwards, came to me like right away. But I was like, maybe it's like, it's not too deep. And for me, it's like, it should correspond to my values, blah, 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 and etc. So I was like, okay, this or that. And then everything else was just like, yeah, I was not excited about the idea.
Yeah.
So I decided I'll go with the first one,
Yeah.
which is Google Drive Optimizer. So I like had massive Google Drives, as maybe a lot of people are, though I like everything to be in order and I try to maintain it. But whenever you let it go for just 3 months,
Yeah.
it becomes a mess again. So I thought, okay, what can I do? And I decided that I'll go with that, even if it's not really like, excites me and that it corresponds to my values. It will be a good thing that I will still address a problem of me and on other many people. I will practice it, and that's good enough for that. So once I get knowledge, I can also like think, and when my creativity is in the boost mode again, I
Yeah.
can come up with something exciting, and I will have some knowledge and foundation.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's how I ended up selecting this idea and implementing it, and that was really cool of proving to my skeptical self, yes, people don't really have to like have any coding knowledge. And though I had it, I was like, I literally could have just entered it without having any coding knowledge whatsoever. The most important is that, like, you see what you receive. It's like literally a vis-a-vis of like what you see is what you get, in terms of idea, how you communicate it into what is being created. And then you can just literally like enhance it, enhance it, enhance it. And I remember that once, the very first time like that it finally ran, I was like, wow, that's cool. So the main pain point was not even about like how the whole system works. It's about how to connect through Google OS auth service
All the
to
engineering.
set up authentication. I was like,
Like,
why it's not working in test environment? It's only like I like literally was only tested in prod because it was not possible to set it up, at least for me.
to set
So
multiple environments up. Exactly. It's also new. That's what's crazy. You realize when you come from a tech background, you're like, well, where's all the infrastructure
Mhm.
to be able to do what I want to do with real software? They're like, oh, we're not there yet. We're still
Uh-huh.
experimenting, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
the Google Drive Optimizer, I loved how you were thinking about this notion of organizing your Google Drive. And then we got to do a deep dive on like, how would you evaluate this? And like, what are
Uh-huh.
the edge
Yeah.
cases and things like that. I still use this as a teaching example in the course. because people sometimes think
Mhm.
like, when you say, test data, I'm like, can you think of like all the different ways people might organize their Google Drives or like
Uh-huh.
have them configured that might be disorganized or organized?
Mhm.
And then they're like, "Oh, wow, okay. I get it. There's this is a big part of the problem is figuring out the test data, things like that."
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You
it
have
sometimes AI can actually help with that. So one of the things was for me, it's like where will I get all of the test data for us for evaluations because I don't have time to go through all of those documents or even upload them to ChatGPT at this point of time for it to understand what it is because then I have to open it up to make sure that it's what this document is and put it as classify it in this way. So one of the things was put it in ChatGPT and ask generate me 100 PDF like names and some the documents with their text like what they are for. Like you don't even have to have actual documents. For like this type of evaluation. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You could in synthetic data, you can get a long way. Very
Hmm.
cool. So you've pivoted now. You're not gonna do that anymore. I know, since Cowork and Claude were released since then, and that's one of their use cases now is like clean up your drive, clean up your Google Drive. But you pivoted to a new idea. I know you can't tell us much. It's under stealth, is that right?
Yeah, so it's something that myself and my husband we are doing together, and we have like spent a lot of hours generating different ideas, chatting with he ChatGPT, me Claude, and like talking about what our strengths are, what our beliefs are, what our values are,
Love it.
and what we want to do, and kind of like doing the deep research of our ideas and how we can probably combine them all. And so we found one thing that excites us both, and we are currently working on it. So we are at the prototype stage when they are all generated, and we right now going to work on actually putting it to life. So we'll see how it goes. But
Oh,
that on the yeah. And on the contrary, with Google Drive Optimizer, that was really good example of where you can just practice skills to understand how everything works and like literally just practice it. And then when you have your creativity, when you are not tired, you can okay now I'm ready to generate to generate some ideas and combine like my knowledge with my values. Yeah. So that's the thing that is important. Like you can start with one thing, and then once you get knowledge and important tools that you can use, anything is possible.
anything is possible. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Well, it's very exciting to see your growth from coming out of, "Hey, I have an awareness of AI, but what's this hype about Gen AI?" Now
Mhm.
you've got your own Gen AI initiatives, possibly a business, a side business, as well as working with AI as your work. How was this change possible? What would you advise to people if they want to, build their confidence in AI, get hands-on, get
Mhm.
practical with it? What would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I think first thing is that to understand what is the best way for them to get the needed education. So for some people, it is mastering it on their own and just reading a ton of literature. There is a ton of stuff when you Google it. When you like, we can even ask Claude or like any AI tool, like create me a plan based on create me a plan of my education based on how I want to. Get the knowledge and how I literally thrive in which situation and how many hours I have. So basically, just like know yourself, know how you can get this knowledge. If you're a person who wants to study with somebody who can answer questions, then definitely take a course. And so Polis one is amazing. So it's like in no way advertisement or anything. So it's just she's amazing and she creates like a really good collaborative culture, and it's very easy to just like learn stuff or any others that you feel comfortable about. And just do it, like not to be afraid. So it's really not difficult. I would also say just ask yourself like is it better to do by myself or is it like something that can be automated and one of the things in my head that I also listened to a podcast about what is better, kind of older generation, not old, who use Google search versus new one who uses different AI tools. Is that there is definitely this thing that we can forget how we did the stuff, and but that knowledge is still there, but with time it can not be as sharp. So I think that for me, and the way how I use it right now is that I always think by myself when it's really important and I want to have my personal opinion about something, that I will create bullet point list for myself of the things that when I analyze things, or do an assessment on vendors or on any features, and then only then I will ask AI, okay, challenge me, what am I missing,
Mhm.
what other things, what alternatives you can suggest. And for everything else, what does not really matter for you can use AI. That's all of the noise can just go away.
Yeah.
And for something that does matter, still maintain the skills that you have, keep it sharp, because I don't know what is there will be huge disruption, and you cannot use Claude and Chat GPT for 3 days. You will still have your brain. So
Has that happened to you yet? It's definitely happened to me where all of a sudden something comes
not
up
yet.
and you're like, I need to clod this. I don't want to do it out of my own brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
really
but
great.
yeah, I'm afraid of that time where we will be so much dependent. I don't know what I would do if there was no Google Maps.
Right?
That terrifies me, because I'm so bad with all directions. So I need my Google
Likewise.
Maps, and I never want to rely on ChatGPT or Claude that much. So
I think that's really good advice. So if summarizing the advice, it is like, hey, if this is something that really matters, that it's high quality, but also something that it matters that it comes from you, whether that's the accountability of it or
mhm.
I don't know, delegating buying your best friend a birthday present is doesn't feel like it's from you, right? So there's still things
Mhm.
that we should focus on, hey, let that come from your brain first and use AI as
Yes.
a collaboration partner. But then if
Mhm.
they're just hey, this is the 80% of things that just need to get done, right?
Yeah, because I think we live in the world where there is so much information going on, and enter in our brain, and a lot of things that we just have to face. That it's important to understand what is important and what is not important. And to summarize, is yeah, first thing, know yourself and know how you learn better, and then pick the medium that works for you, whether it's self-led or a course. And third one is still maintain your knowledge, your expertise, and keep it on a sharp level, so that whenever you ask a question, you don't feel like you have to go and AI it.
Yeah.
So and then you can still answer the question and have this structure in your head. And for everything that is not important, it's okay to just rely on AI, at least for me.
I know, and because it's beginning so much better. There's so much more
Uh,
to do that for. What a great note to close this out on. Thanks so much, Victoria. We have time for one last section, and that is plugs. Are there any societies or causes near and dear to your heart you want to give a shout out to for our audience?
I think that I love whales and dolphins. It's just I always tell people to see them and to swim with them. It's becoming more and more popular. So just to be ethical about it. Also to never go to SeaWorld, because whales and dolphins need to live in the oceans, but not be in captivity. The less people will go to the parks like that, the better chances that that whales and dolphins will live fully free. So
Near and dear to my heart as well. Thank you for that. Awesome. And from my side, I would like to plug the show. So if you enjoy hearing stories from real practitioners who are working in the AI space today, please like and star our show, whatever star or like is whatever on your favorite podcast platform. We will be having our Path to AI Product Leadership, the Indispensable Product Leader masterclasses resuming shortly. So we'll be posting that link too if you want to come to our free monthly masterclasses where we uncover the path to AI product leadership in this age of AI, how to get there, no technical background required, to really still leverage and use your expertise in this day and age. So thanks again so much for joining us, Viktoria. That's our show for this week. That's another episode of AI Product Leader, and we'll see you in another couple of weeks. Thanks again.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you,
everyone.
Polly, and all the listeners.